Good morning, everybody. I guess that many of you, we were already talking the other day in one lecture. With some others, we were also meeting for working together in some issues. So thank you so much for coming. It's a bit having pressure to have one camera recording. It gives you the impression that you are somebody important when probably it's not like that, but it's really funny to have it. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much at the university for hosting for hosting me during this fellowship. And I will present myself, I will present what I would like to talk about. Some of the things, the people that we already met, you know who I am, you know what I'm working, so I will present myself for, let's say, for the new people. I am David Dueñas, I am a Catalan sociologist. I'm PhD in sociology by Universitat Rovira Virgili, which is my university of origin. I am working also, I'm some kind of associate researcher at University of Warsaw, where I am working also as a sociologist. And I don't know, I asked for the possibility of coming to Georgia to make some stage of research, and I am spending 1 month here because I want to know things about your country. I must say that up to now I'm quite positively surprised about your country, not only because it's a beautiful place and so on, but also because I'm really surprised at how the people are warmly, I don't know, helping foreigners to get used, to adapt, to discover the country and so on. So I'm really thankful to your country, to your culture, and to your, I don't know, countrymates, let's say. So thank you so much for that. I want to talk about internet. I don't know if you can see it because there is some light coming from there, but I was working in one project which was named Internet Creatively Unveiling Discrimination. So it means that we wanted to work with discriminatory issues, discriminatory discourses which are present online, and we wanted to work with young people and creatively. So it means that we wanted to, first of all, try to understand how is internet working, how discriminatory contents are, let's say, flowing through the net, and what can we do to change this situation. I mean, what can we do as citizens, what can we do as researchers, what can you do as students to try to fight against that. So me as a sociologist, my part was to research about that, so I will present somehow the results of my research. If you are interested on that, there is one website where you can find all the information, digitaldiscrimination.eu. I mean, if somebody is interested, just write me an email and I can deliver this website, because there is lots of information there, and maybe, I don't know, if somebody is interested, it can be nice for you. As a person who is working on internet, I also write my Twitter, which is Atu Island, which is, Atu means absolutely anything. It's just one island which is between America and Russia in the Strait of Bering, so it's just some absurd name because it was the only way to have some original name online, which is something that we always want to have. So, what I will talk about? I will talk to you about this ICUD project, this acronym of this Internet Creatively Unveiling Discrimination, and what have we done and why we were doing that. So first of all, we wanted in this project to try to find a way to make people be conscious about how we are posting, delivering, spreading discriminatory messages online. I guess that almost all of you are online. You are part of this generation who have half of their life offline, half of their life online. So I'm totally sure that all of you have Facebook. If not, it would be a big surprise. I'm sure also that there are some things that you are doing on Facebook that probably you would not do them offline. Some things that you are doing on Facebook that you are not conscious that you are doing them. Some things that you are doing on Facebook that they have some impact that you don't really know which this impact is. And I'm saying that to you because you are in front of me and you are hearing me, but I could say the same about myself. And I could say the same about everybody. We are generally not conscious of which is the impact of the things that we are doing online. Because we are, I think we talked about that the other day, we are still living offline. When we are speaking online, we are still thinking offline. We are still thinking who I am writing this message. But I am not conscious about how many people is hearing this message. I'm always using the same example. Imagine that we are in a bar, we are having a beer, having fun with some colleagues, and somebody explains one joke. And this joke has some kind of discriminatory content. And jokes, generally, they are made for laughing about people who are different, laughing about people who are thinking different, who have different features, different, I don't know, whatever. And we are laughing. Imagine that when you are laughing at one joke which is discriminatory, there are like 500 people who are hearing that you are laughing about that. And that maybe tomorrow they can tell you, hey, you were laughing about that. You are a discriminatory person. You are, I don't know, you are laughing about people who have short arms. Or you are laughing about people, I don't know, who have white hair. Because the people who have white hair, they are all this and so on, so we can laugh about them, blah, blah, blah. So, okay, imagine that these 500 people, they are hearing you, and some moment they can come back to you with this discourse. So this is what happens generally on Facebook, this is what happens generally in internet, and that's why it's interesting to work about that. So in this project, we were trying to find this kind of hidden protocols, hidden forms of discrimination. How is it working? It's really easy to find somebody who is saying, you are worse than me, people who have this skin color, they are worse than me, people who have these features, they are worse than me, and people who are directly discriminating people. I mean, they are super easy to detect. But it's not easy to detect those that unconsciously they are promoting this kind of discourses. And it's something that unconsciously, most of us, we are doing. And for us it was super interesting to work with that. In this project we were working with, apart from my university, we were working with 5 other partners, SEPS Proyectos Socials, which is an NGO from Barcelona, Fundația Pact, which is one organization from Bucharest, from Romania, Pour la Solidarité, which is one NGO which is working in Belgium, College Arts from London, and CIES from Rome. So we had like quite wide range of collaborators who were working with us in this project. So, what we know about internet? I'm totally sure that you know lots of things about internet. We were talking about that in our previous speech, and for example, if I introduce you these concepts, most of them, you know them. You're writing every day at least, I guess, at least 5-10 times these 3 W's when you are going to search for something. And probably you are not thinking even what does it mean. These 3 W's, they mean World Wide Web, which is some kind of protocol for finding information in internet, which is based in quite complex systems of, I don't know, internet combination of signals that finally your computer can understand. I don't know what he said, but so finally these kind of things, they allow us to have access to information. We all know we are all using Facebook. I've heard that here Twitter is not like particularly widespread, but Facebook is totally massively used by people from Georgia. So you all know what is Facebook, you all know what is internet, you all know where we are moving, and probably I guess that none of you made a single effort to understand what is it, where does it come from, what does it mean this www, where does internet come from? For example, internet was some kind of invention by American militaries in order to send information that was not existing in real life. Let's say some kind of way of sending information that nobody can check in order that spies cannot get this information and so on. So it's interesting that it's a military invention that finally had been totally successful and changing the reality that we are living. So we know many things, but we are not conscious about how we are learning about that, and it's one of the things that I insisted in my previous lecture. How we learn about that? Just living, just being there, just moving in internet, just surfing, just searching for information, just trying to find the things that they are practical for my life. And we learn how to use it. We learn without nobody who was teaching us how to use it. If you would need to go to one lecture at university that somebody will explain you how to work internet wouldn't be as funny as it is. Because you are learning because it's useful for you. Because you can find there all the things that you need. and because you have millions of tools to use that. You have mobiles with you, you have computers, you have laptops, you have many ways to have access to internet, so it's super easy for you to learn that. Imagine that you would have to learn the classics of sociology, and everywhere in your daily life you would find information everywhere about who is Max Weber, about who is Emile Durkheim, about who is, I don't know, whoever. You would learn it, because it would be there, because it would be super easy to have access to that. But as sociologists we are also hidden somehow, so we are not in this situation. Anyway, but for example, we are not conscious that when we are learning about internet, there are many differences according to who we are and according to which are our interests. For example, here you have, I don't know if it's easy to see, but you have a list of websites according to the differences of people according to their age. And you can see, for example, these blue lines, I mean, it comes from younger to older, and you can see how there are big differences according to the age and to the pages that we are visiting. There's one website that I don't really know, which is called DeviantArt, which is the first one, that is mostly used by people who are under 24. And there's another website in the other side, which is LinkedIn. I don't know if you are in that or not and so on, but it's one website to find job and so on, in which almost 70% of people who are using that, they are older than 35. So it's interesting, we are sharing the same space, but we are not looking for the same things. So we are, theoretically, we are in the same place, but we are doing totally different things. And it's interesting to get to know how we are learning to use that. For example, here you have one list of websites according to gender. Which are the differences according to gender? Which pages are mostly visited by men? Which pages are mostly visited by women? And you can see, for example, Pinterest, which is something which is connected with photography, I think, that almost 80% of the people who are using that, they are women. And on the other side you have Slashdot, Hacker News, Stack Overflow, which I don't really know what they are, but they are mostly used by men. So probably it means, and it's one of the things that I will show you later, that there is one masculine way of being online and one feminine way of being online. Because in our real life we can have different interests, because we are raised in a different way, men and women. There are some roles of gender that, even if we are not conscious of them, they are affecting our life, and they are also jumping online. And it's interesting because finally there are super big differences according to our gender or our age and the things that we are doing online. If we see, for example, Facebook, it's interesting. Facebook, it's that one. It's mostly 60% of the people who are in Facebook, this data is from 2012, I think, they are women. But somehow it's one of the spaces in which more men and women, they are living together online. Because, I don't know, I've heard that here in Georgia, the percent of use of Facebook is absolutely massive. I think that almost everybody under 30 years old, they are in Facebook. So it means that it's one of the spaces where many Georgians, they are meeting online. Probably you're meeting your colleagues, probably you are, I don't know, meeting the people you know and so on. But it's one place where lots of people are sharing information, are sharing this space, and they are living together, let's say. Even if it's a bit feminized. But it's interesting because it's on these spaces where we can find different relations between men and women. Different relations between different ages, between all the people that are sharing this space. I guess that if we would make one analysis on Pinterest, the things that we would find is that there's a feminine way of behaving which is normalized in Pinterest. And if we are going to this Slashdot, probably we would find the opposite, that there's one masculine way which is the normal way of behaving in Slashdot, because most of the people, they are men or they are women. But in Facebook we are more or less average. So it means that we are sharing this space, people who have different behaviors online. And it's one of the things that it's interesting for me according to that. So, the other day I was talking about that, I will just make a fast summary about that, how internet and society, they are combined. We have different perception of what is friendship. you have much more friends probably than the number of friends that I have in Facebook, and probably I have much more friends than the number of friends that your parents, if they are in Facebook, they have. And if your grandparents, they are in Facebook, they will have even less friends than you. So it's interesting because the notion of what is online friendship, it's different according to the age or according to who we are. We have different behavioral patterns. We are behaving differently depending on if we are men, we are women, if we have high culture access or we have low culture access, if we live in the cities or we live in rural areas, if we are mostly living online or we are mostly living offline. There are lots of layers in this society that they are crossing on internet, and we are behaving in a different way. And there are generational differences according to the knowledge. You know much more things than what I know from internet, because probably you are spending more time than me. I know much more things than what your parents know about internet, because I am probably spending more time than them, and your parents know much more things than your grandparents. So there is like a totally change of this socialization process. Generally, old people, they should be the ones who know more things than young people, because they have been living more years than us. But here it's totally different. So I will pass that because I was talking about that the other day. Finally, and before starting to talk about the results of this project, internet, as I told you the other day, it gives us some false perception of anonymity and freedom. Somehow we think that we are free to do whatever we want and that we can hide ourselves quite easily. And then it's not like that. I mean, you know that famous people, they cannot... let's say if some famous person is doing something and it is posted on internet, everybody will see it. You know that I am coming from next to Catalonia. I'm coming from Catalonia. I'm living close to Barcelona. You know that in Barcelona there's one football team and there's one football player, this Gerard Piqué, which is married with Shakira. It's super interesting because some days ago, one month and a half ago, he started using like a new tool that it's called Periscope. That I don't know if you know it, but it's for making some kind of online interviews with people. You are putting your camera, people from internet, they are seeing you and they are making you questions. And he started using that. You know that almost anybody in Catalonia knew about Periscope before he was using that? After he started using that, almost everybody in Catalonia knows about that, because it started to circulate online, because he's famous, because everybody started talking about that, because he was doing some funny things there, so it became super popular, or what is said in internet, it became viral. So somehow we think that we are free, and somehow we think that we are anonymous, but none of both things is true, generally. We are not free to do whatever we want, because even if we try, there are some borders of social behavior that do not allow us to do certain things, or most of the people. And it's not anonymous because many of the people who are doing things which are incorrect, finally they are finding them, and finally they have some fine or something like that, or I don't know, there's some kind of social pressure on him to stop doing that. And in internet we have something that we call fast reaction that hides permanency, or that hides continuity, let's say. We are still reacting as if we were offline, and the things that we are doing, they have impact on the future. When we are reacting on internet, the things that we are doing, they stay there and they have some continuity. So it's some of the things that I already told you the other day. So, what we did on this project? With this basis of, let's say, theoretical background about how the things are working, we created some kind of profiles on Facebook to try to see what people were doing on Facebook. So in these 5 countries, we were talking with young people like you, and we were telling them, we are making one research, we created some Facebook profiles, we want you to join to this Facebook profile. We want to be your friends online. But we tell you that, that we will check all the things that you posted in your Facebook profile in the last year, in the last 12 months. Of course, there were people that they were saying, I don't want to participate, so we were searching for volunteers, but many people wanted to participate on that because it was interesting for them, because they wanted to collaborate with research and so on. So finally we joined 493 people who wanted to participate on that. In these 5 cities I mentioned, Barcelona, Bucharest, Brussels, London and Rome. So we had finally almost 500 profiles in Facebook. It's interesting because probably had been one of the most boring researches I ever made in my life, because you cannot imagine how boring it is to check 500 profiles one by one. It can be really tough. It's something that we are not conscious because we are doing that in our normal life. Most of the things that we are doing in Facebook is checking what other people are doing. So we are used to, I don't know, let's see this friend that for many years I'm not seeing him, so let's see what is he doing. Look, he bought him a dog. Yeah, see, it seems that he has a new girlfriend, blah, blah, blah. So you're just checking what people are doing. But when you have to do it because it's your job, it can be absolutely boring. But even that, it was super interesting because we could find lots of discriminatory contents in these profiles. In fact, we found 362 discriminatory examples or examples of discriminatory contents in these profiles. In the last year, almost 70%, 75% of these people, they were posting something that was inadequate. They were posting something that was discriminating somebody. And it's interesting because we are not conscious of that. If I ask you, think about your Facebook profile, think about your activity, what were you doing in the last year? You think that you were, I don't know, laughing at somebody's, some social group? You think that you were posting contents that they were gender discriminatory? You think that you were posting contents that, for example, they are laughing with people who have different skin color than you? Probably you would say no. But it's interesting because we found many examples of that in people that they were not like these hooligans who are going to the football and you can expect that they can do that. No, many of them, for example, they were students of social work. My students of social work in Tarragona. Generally, students of social work, they are, by definition, good people who want to help other people. That's why they are studying social work and they are not studying, for example, stock markets managing, because they want to help people who have problems. So then they should be super aware about the problems of the people, how to avoid them, and how to behave in a normal way. Good morning. So, so it's interesting because it means that probably they are not conscious of that. So these contents that we found, they were posted by 136 people. So it means that not everybody was posting this kind of contents. There were many people who were not doing that. But even that, the ratio, it's like almost 1 of every 3 people that we were talking, they were posting some discriminatory contents and so on. So it's quite interesting. So what were they laughing about? Generally, and it's interesting, we divided them into 3 groups according to their educational level, let's say. There's many people who have good studies but they are not working, so they are not in one thing and in another. And we found that there were some differences between them. First of all, it's interesting that discrimination based on gender, it was present in the 3 groups. So let's say discriminate women or discriminate men by women, it's something that is totally widespread. It's one of the, and for me it was one surprise because we will see that women, they are also discriminating for gender reasons. And for me it was quite shocking because we are always hearing that we, the men, we are not conscious about many of the things that we are doing, that we are thinking, how we are expressing ourselves, and we are discriminating women. I can agree with this affirmation. I mean, I have my colleagues at university who are working in this gender studies department, and they put lots of examples of unconscious behavior made by men that they have discriminatory impacts over women, and it's super interesting. But it was shocking to see how women, they were also in many occasions reproducing this kind of discourses. So it was something that was quite surprising. Then it was interesting to see how ethnic discrimination was the second most popular group of discriminatory contents. And then there was one thing that was quite shocking, that it was how the discrimination for socio-cultural class was delivered. I mean, when people, they are high class or low class, it was interesting to see that, for example, people who were not in education or training, they were not discriminating for socio-cultural reasons. While people who are studying at university, they were discriminating much more for this issue. And it's quite interesting because it seems that the more you learn, the more you study, the less discriminatory you are. And probably there's one dimension that we are not conscious. It's like when we are studying, when we are getting more knowledge, and when we are jumping to this, I don't know, people who are like intellectuals, like intelligentsia, we are saying here, I think. So we are starting to discriminate those who are not on this group. So somehow it's some way of creating identity by people who have high studies. It's to put differences and social borders with people who don't have these studies and to discriminate them for some reason. And it's interesting because it's something that it's not so obvious. Apart from that, we found, as I told you, lots of examples of discrimination, and we tried to classify them. For example, as I told you, if we compare which is the attitude of men and of women in this issue, we can see that there are some things that they are shocking. For example, first of all, that gender discrimination is quite widespread in women, and as I told you, it's quite surprising. Then that ethnic discrimination, it's more masculine attitude, let's say. Women, they are not discriminating, or you are not discriminating so much for ethnic issues as men. And it's interesting because, I don't know, men and women, they have both different ethnies. So why men are discriminating more than women for ethnic issues? And it's interesting because women, they were more, let's say, putting the eye on this socio-cultural class and on physical appearance. And it's interesting that, let's say, that women were criticizing more people who were low class and who were looking differently. And it was something that was quite shocking, and that it's drawing some differences according to the behavior between men and women. We put all these things together into some, I know that you're doing SPSS now, that's why I am putting this table, because we made some kind of cluster analysis and some kind of, I don't know, distribution analysis in order to see if we were putting all the statistics together and all the variables together, what we had. And we could see how women, they were more close to some things and men were more close to some other things. I don't know if it's easy to see, but here you have this spot, which is female, which is women, and all these things were the ones that if we were crossing all the data, we were seeing that it was more close to a feminine attitude on internet. So women, they were discriminating more for social-cultural class, they were discriminating more for appearance, they were close to homophobia, which is quite interesting because it was also some kind of surprise for us, and they were more close to, let's say, low-scale discrimination attitudes. What does it mean? It's not the same, for example, to write by yourself in your Facebook profile, all the people who have brown hair, they are like this, than if somebody is writing it and I am saying I like it because it's funny. Of course it's not the same, and it shouldn't be considered as the same, because it's more, in our opinion, it's more discriminatory to be the one who is writing that than to be the one who likes this content. Because one thing is conscious. As I told you, if I write something, it's because I am conscious that I am writing that. But if I say I like something, there's a probability that I will be unconscious of the impact of what I am doing. So then there is a difference on that. It's not the same to write than to like. So according to that, and according to the content, because it's not the same to insult some social group than to say I don't like them, there's quite a difference between those things. We made some classification, and women, they were more connected with these issues, but they were more connected with this hidden way of discriminating. Let's say more reactive way, saying I like it, and putting some contents that they were less discriminatory. While men, let's say, we were more aggressive, we were writing more contents, discriminatory contents, than liking these contents. These contents that we were putting, they were more connected with ethnia, with religion, for example, with gender also, and they were more aggressive. They were more insulting, they were more, I don't know, more aggressive finally. And it's interesting because it draws some differences according to gender. And it's super interesting. So, thanks to that, we created some kind of indicators in order to evaluate all this information we got. First of all, we were using some kind of, we call it discrimination intensity index, in which we were mixing the intensity of this discrimination. I mean, if the contents were highly discriminatory or slightly discriminatory. As I told you, it's not the same to insult somebody for his skin color than to say I don't like it, even if both things they are discriminatory. It's more aggressive to say I would kill these people than say I don't really like if they, I don't know, do that. So we were trying to classify these things according to that, and the way of behaving, if they were directly discriminatory or indirectly discriminatory. And up to that we saw, in blue you will find women, in green you will find men. We saw that there was some kind of balance on that. I mean, there were men that they were doing this kind of things, there were women that were doing this kind of things. The side of these balls, they are higher numbers on this indicator. So we realized that in this scale, I mean, we could say that there are differences between both of them, but there's quite a balance. I mean, people who are discriminatory, they are doing it and they are spreading that. Secondly, we created one impact index. This impact index means how many people you have in your Facebook profile and how many times you are interacting with them. So the more people, the more interactions, it means that when you are posting something in your Facebook account, more people will see it. So if I have no friends because everybody thinks that I am a totally discriminatory person and nobody wants to talk with me because they say that David, he's always laughing about, I don't know, this kind of people and he's not a good person, so I don't want to be his friend. I wouldn't say that it doesn't matter, but the impact of the things I am doing is smaller because finally nobody wants to be my friend. But if I am super popular, and I am imagining that I am this Gerard Piqué and I am in this Periscope, I'm making some joke about people who are doing whatever, many people can see that. So there is this kind of impact index which tries to collect how many people can see the information that I am posting. So it's interesting because it's not the same to be discriminatory and 10 people can see it than to use these discriminatory contents and 2,000 people can see it. Your impact online will be bigger. In this regard, we could see how, there were certain spots and there were certain differences according to men and to women. But if we combined both things, we call it Global Intensity Impact Index. It's this kind of well-sounding names that finally they are just like some label. But if we combine both things, finally we can find those who have more impact online. Those who are highly discriminatory, those who are really aggressive, and those who have lots of friends. Those ones are the ones that are dangerous, let's say, because are the ones that they are not only putting lots of contents, but they have a big audience of people who can hear them. And if we were checking this scale, we could see how men, in this case, they had bigger impact than women. So it's not only that men were more aggressive, it's not only that they were posting things that they were considered to be more discriminatory, but also that they had more audience. So their messages can be easily spread online. And it's interesting because for people who are working to try to avoid these discriminatory contents, it's important to detect which are the important spots in the network. I mean, if imagine that you are in this class and there's one of you who is super popular and he or she is always posting things that are discriminatory. If I want to avoid these contents to be online, it's more useful to take him out or to take her out, to talk with her, to try to convince her that it's not good and so on, than to try to convince all the class. Because probably he or she is the one who is widespreading these contents. He is one of these nodes which is important in this network. So it's interesting to try to catch these kind of profiles. So, what we proposed, and I think that with that we will start finishing. With this project, we wanted to make people understand their online impact. To try to make that people who are, let's say, we have written here, discriminatory content creators, they stop doing that. How can we do that? Making them realize the impact of the things that they are doing. That when you are laughing at these people, especially in a class context, imagine at secondary school, that there is one person that everybody is laughing at him. It's not the same that we are making some jokes about somebody, then the whole class is bullying one person. And how we reach this situation? Because it starts to be popular to bully him. For some reasons that sometimes they are absurd, because he's using old shoes, and we will love him because he's using old shoes. It becomes popular because some people in this classroom, in this network, they are creating this kind of contents, they are disseminating this kind of contents, and they are popular enough to make these contents to be generalized. And it's interesting because if we know how to work that, we could avoid many cases of cyberbullying or of direct bullying in classrooms. And it's interesting to try to find that. So we detected 3 types of people: those people who are conscious of the impact or conscious of their activity, they are discriminatory people. So I don't know, it exists in our society. There's people who is discriminating, so we can know it, so we can, I mean, it's normal that they are on the internet. Those people who are, let's say, loudspeakers, who unconsciously sometimes they are taking these contents and they are spreading them because I like them, because I find it funny, because I'm not conscious of the impact of that. And those people who are conscious users, that when they see these contents they are saying, no, I don't like it, I'm not posting that, and so on. So with this project we wanted to work, probably it's hard to work with these discriminatory creators, because if they have this thing in their mind it will be hard to change it. I mean, we can try it and we can do it, but it's more practical to try to transform these loudspeakers into conscious users. Those people who are not conscious of the impact of their activities, they should be conscious of that. They should be conscious that if they are putting I like to that, they are disseminating these contents. And we wanted to help those who are conscious users to be reactive users, because there are different levels of consciousness. I can tell you, if you are doing something that I don't like, I can just shut up and not be part of this thing that you are doing that I don't like, or I can react and I can tell you, I don't like what you are doing. So then I am actively fighting against the dissemination of these contents. So we were, with young people, trying to create spaces in which people can be conscious, first of all, of their impact, and secondly, of how they could react in order to avoid this kind of impact.
What was the name of that website?
digitaldiscrimination.eu. I can write it here if you want. You see that it's a long name. digitaldiscrimination.eu. I couldn't find the letters in Georgian, but anyway, I tried. So I wrote it in my alphabet, so Madwoba for coming. And anyway, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.